This is a 2001 Honda Insight. It is for sale. It is a 5-speed. It has 139,000 miles. And this video is to show you a little bit about the condition of the car and some of the particulars. So we'll do a walk around. Just to start and say, there is nothing wrong with this car. There's nothing that is not working. Every button, switch, light works. There are no leaks. There are no strange noises, shakes, shudders. Everything is complete. There are no missing parts. And I will give you a little walk around of what I've done to this car in my ownership and show you that it's going to be very special for the next owner. Let me start by showing you the flaws of the car. It does have a few. The first one, and this is something I don't fully understand, but it seems to come and go. You can see there's just a few areas where the paint, it's not quite oxidation because you can't feel it. Here's another. It's kind of hard to tell with the reflection of the clouds. It's something that you don't notice a ton until you get up on the car, but there's just a few spots here and there. Here's one that's more noticeable. And sometimes when I wax the car, they seem to diminish with the sun, the rain. It's very strange. I don't understand. I think it has something to do with the fact that these are plastic and aluminum body panels, and it absorbs heat and moisture perhaps differently. The other flaw of the car is the tinting is not the most perfect. It looks great from far away, but as you get close, especially in the back, there's just a little bit of peeling here. It's something I've lived with. It didn't bother me a ton. You could get it redone if you wanted it to be perfect. Those are the only two flaws, and they're both cosmetic of the car. The flaws this car does not have, let me say that, and then I'm going to tell you what I've done to the car. Most of the typical flaws of the Generation 1 Insight are very obvious to owners and enthusiasts. This car has none of those. It has a brand new IMA battery, and by the way, you can go, there's a list of maybe 15 of these on Insight Central, on one of the stickies you can check out. The IMA battery is brand new. This car has the correct tires. They are also brand new. It has every single under panel, the body aero panels that preserve the good gas mileage. They're all there. There's no rust. This is a Georgia car. It has not a bit of rust anywhere on it. The ground straps, there's no corrosion of any sort. And then just some of the other things, and there's a whole bunch of stuff again with these cars, but this has none of those issues. There's no seat tear here. This is a very typical thing, as you can see. Looks brand new. The steering wheel, there's zero wear. This is an S2000 wheel. It is also like new. There's no flaking here with any of this. There's no bubbling in the dash, in the digital dash at all. The trip button works. The auto down button works. The trunk release works, as it should. So there's just none of those common issues at all. Every one of them is either doesn't exist or I've addressed. And then let me tell you what I have done to the car, and I'm going to zoom into my maintenance record and just pause there if you want to look at this, and then I'm going to go quickly through and explain each of these items. So, just pause there. And let me talk about what I've done here to each of these. Valve cover gasket, I'll open up the hood, has been replaced. All of this is within the last 10,000 miles. Most of what I'm going to show you is within the last 1,000 miles. So, valve cover gasket was replaced in this car. The valves were adjusted by the previous owner. The EGR valve, which is right here, is brand new. By the way, I have receipts for probably 90% of this. The car has front brake pads and rotors. They are new. It has a new slave cylinder and a new master cylinder. The manual transmission fluid was swapped out. It's very nice and clean. Of course, you can tell I've detailed it, the interior and exterior. Again, aside from the few paint issues, it looks fantastic, and the interior is about perfect. I mean, there's some very minor little scuffs here, but you almost can't tell. But nowhere on the seats, there's no dents, no cuts, nothing. Everything's in very good shape. So it was full detailed. The headlights I restored. Here they are. They look great, very nice and clear, no yellowing. A couple things in here I'll show you again. I did a dead pedal mod. This car doesn't have a dead pedal, so I added this. This is from a Honda Accord. I also put new pedals right here. Those are brand new from Honda. It has Honda branded floor mats. They're pretty cool. They fit well. I haven't cut them yet, but you can cut them if you want. But those are nice. I think they accent the car well. Oh, well, we're also in here. Armrest mod. This is a Civic armrest from a 6th generation. So I cut it and fit it in there. And as you can see, it's nice, looks very OEM, got plenty of storage. It's quite secure. You can put all your stuff in there. That's nice. The car does not come with one, so that was a very nice addition. And you can tell, by the way, it's two-tone, blends just about perfectly with the seats in the interior here. Well, we're on the interior. I'll also mention the S2000 steering wheel, which I mentioned before is in near perfect condition. And then going back to the engine, it does have a new windshield. This is brand new. It's been on there maybe 700 miles, so almost brand new. With the new windshield are also new A-pillar clips for both A-pillars. So that's this entire piece here. While I was in there, because I took the pillars off myself and then reattached them after the windshield was put in. I did that myself. And I caulked all of these on both sides. That's a common thing because you have the seatbelt leak for the Generation 1 inside. I wanted to avoid that, so I caulked every one of those with some silicone sealant, or I guess I should say I silicone sealed them. The car has Scott's springs. These are Daewoo Matiz springs. That's why it's lifted, which makes the car much more comfortable. So on a normal Insight, you will not see that H logo, but on mine you will because it's been raised just a small amount, and it makes the car much more comfortable. You can read about those online. Again, they're called Scott's springs. The car does have a short shift adapter, which perfectly fits from a 5th gen Prelude. So the shifts are probably 10% shorter than they're supposed to be. Sorry for the shaky camera, by the way. I don't have a mount, but doing the best I can. So the shifter, which was already short, is shorter than it was. Has a new rear motor mount. And by the way, if you're watching this, I've got 10 or 15 videos. You can see it right down there, right in the very center. It's nice and bright and shiny. You can watch all my other videos where I did all this work and showed a lot of the ins and outs. And by the way, I actually took this motor mount out also because I was just curious, and it was in great shape. I actually had a replacement on my shelf, and I just ended up getting a refund because that one was in great shape. Let's see, what else do we have? The car has a new front catalytic converter, the upstream, and as you can see, I heat wrapped it. While we're here, I'll also mention it has a new O2 sensor. This is the NTK, it's the expensive one, brand new, and it has new Honda indexed B plugs, which go here, here, and here, and those are special indexed plugs that you match up with the head and see which engine you have, A, B, C, or D. Mine was BBB, so those are brand new also, indexed properly. New stickers. The car looked so beautiful, I just couldn't leave those old stickers on there, so I put 1, 2, these are not cheap by the way, 3 new stickers on there. Has a brand new Bumblebee battery that I've only driven a few hundred miles. It has a 3-year transferable warranty on the battery. It has a new cabin filter, which will be behind the glove box there. Brand new cabin filter. I also cleaned the EGR plate, which I'm not going to take this off, but behind the manifold here is the EGR plate. I cleaned it. It is in perfect condition, and as I said, it also has a new EGR valve. By the way, a lot of these parts, there was nothing wrong with them, but since I was restoring the car, I just wanted it to be as 2001 as possible. And when you drive the car, again, that's how it feels. There is just no shaking. Everything is so smooth. I changed the oil with, oh, by the way, when I did the EGR, I also cleaned out the EGR passage, not only the plate, but between the EGR and the plate, there's a passage about 6 inches, and I cleaned that, and it came out real nice. Brand new tires, as I said, and I'll talk about gas mileage here in a moment. I also did a TPS sensor, which some of these parts were like 20 or 30 bucks, and I thought, well, I'm in here, why not? That's why a lot of these parts were done. There wasn't necessarily anything wrong with the TPS sensor, but I thought, let's just address it. So I cleaned out the intake, the throttle body right here, and the TPS sensor is right there. And again, I have receipts for most of this stuff I'm telling you. And then adjusted the idle, of course, to the 4.48, I think, or 0.48 rather, that Honda recommends. And I mentioned the EGR valve, and I think that's about everything. Add-ons, I've mentioned a few of these, but let me just throw real quick. It does come with a car cover that's custom. It perfectly fits the car, not loose or anything. Has a discharger setup. It has a grid charger setup, and it's wired for that. Of course, jack and tools, the cargo net, which you just saw. The floor mats will come with the car. I have special Color Magic blue polish that for the car. Also, Monte Carlo blue touch-up paint. I have a original sales brochure, which was not cheap, that I grabbed just for fun, and for a 2001 Insight. And then, as I mentioned, it has the S2000 steering wheel. It has a rear speakers. I won't show you, but they're in there and they're wired up. The car only comes with these two puny speakers in the door, and so it's got speakers wired for the back also, so they're behind these two seats, and those are wired up and they work, and it really improves the sound. Dead pedal armrest, I mentioned the rear springs. The mirror also is aftermarket. Nice big fat mirror, lets you see a lot more. And finally, the back is soundproofed. So if you open up to get to the battery in your cargo compartment, the entire back area is soundproofed because these cars are kind of loud, and that just kind of keeps it a little more quiet. And as I mentioned, the windows are tinted 35%. Let me end and talk about gas mileage. If you watch all my other videos, you'll see that when I first got the car, it was in gas only mode. The battery didn't work. This was before I replaced the battery. But then once I got the IMA battery, I was driving like a Banshee and getting around 55. That's air on. That was back when it had the wrong tires, and back before I went through the engine, like I just mentioned, and did all that. And I could get in the 60s, high 60s on the highway, and then I could get 55 if I just drove the car like I drive my Fiesta ST. Since I've done all these changes, the Bridgestone RE92s, all the going through the engine, cleaning all the EGR, all the carbon, everything out, all the things I just mentioned, I am now getting city driving. And when I say city, I mean some stoplights and some sort of rural stuff like this. So it's a mix, city highway, but mostly city stoplights. If I use all the hypermiling techniques I am aware of, and I'm good at it, I can get 73 miles per gallon in the city with this car right now, as is, with these tires inflated to 45 PSI, which is about 6 over what Honda recommends, and completely safe, by the way. So I can get 73, that's over 100 miles if I'm just careful and don't use my air and drive slow and all that. If I drive it normal, I can get about 65 in the city. And I haven't done highway runs since I've done all these mods, but I'm sure I could get into the 70s and probably possibly even into the 80s with the car. So that is an overview of this car, 2001 Honda Insight, the Eco Rocket. Thanks for watching.